So right now I've got my test bench radio running just the radio, no amplifiers, and we're getting zero current draw. So how in the world is that possible? How is it that I have my radio on the test bench on and I'm getting no current draw whatsoever? That's because the power supply and the load are on the same side of the shunt, and the power supply is providing more than enough current to run the radio, so no current is running through the shunt to or from the battery over to the radio. Watch what happens when I turn the power supplies off. Now you're measuring the current flowing across the shunt from the battery. I'm going to play some music while I work on other projects and let the battery drain down just a little bit. Okay, the battery has drained down a few percentage points, and I'm going to turn off the radio and turn on the power supplies, and then power is going to flow from the power supplies across the shunt into the battery. Now that's really good if your goal is to monitor the battery, and monitoring the battery is something you probably should do, but maybe you might want to do more. Maybe you want to know if your high output alternator is giving you all that current that you paid for. Maybe you want to know how much current your amplifier is drawing. The way it's set up now, it's not going to give you that information. There are several different ways you can solve that problem. Connect both the alternator or your power supply and your battery to the battery negative. That way, no matter where the power for your amplifier is coming from, you'll get that reading going to the load across the shunt. And that will tell you how much current your amplifiers are drawing. Or you could connect your alternator to battery negative and then the battery and the load itself over on the load side. That's going to monitor the power coming from the alternator. That's not in the owner's manual. Here on the test bench, I'd like to be able to measure the load going into the amplifier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a second one of these things. The first one's going to go in place just as described in the owner's manual. It's going to monitor the battery. The second one is going to go between the first shunt and the rest of the test bench so I can monitor the current going into an amplifier when I do an amp test.